Welcome. Today, we're going to dive deep into something truly special, the very heart of the Quran, that final, powerful passage of Surah Yā-Sīn. Together, we're going to reflect on verses 68 to 83, and for this journey, we'll be drawing from some beautiful insights compiled by Mir Ali Shah, a seeker who shares his reflections through the Living the Wisdom of the Quran podcast. This, my friends, is a journey to the end of illusion, a journey to the final return.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So, after all is said and done, after every argument has been presented, every sign has been shown, every warning given, what's left? What remains? And the answer, well, it's actually incredibly simple, and it's really the heart of this whole passage. There's not another argument. There's no more persuasion. There is only testimony. So what does that even mean? Well, this final cluster of verses in Yā-Sīn, it's all about the end of illusion. The time for debate is over. And now the Quran does something just extraordinary. It takes speech away from us, from the human tongue, and it gives it to the body itself. The truth is going to be exposed, not by what we say, but by what we are.
All right, so let's start with the outer or the zahir meaning of these verses. This is the literal surface level understanding. And right away, you see how this idea of human autonomy, this illusion that we're in control, is just completely and systematically dismantled, piece by piece, starting with our very own bodies. So the very first testimony, it comes from our own bodies. The Quran says, whomever we grant long life, we reverse in creation. The great scholar Ibn Kathir gives us such a powerful way to look at this. He says aging isn't just some random decay. It's a structured undoing. Our strength returns to weakness, our certainty to confusion. And why does this matter so much? Because it's a constant, living, breathing reminder from God that the power we thought we had was never really ours in the first place. Okay, next up, the Quran points to the things that sustain us, like livestock, for instance. We might think, oh, I own this. But the scholar Ibn Ashur just clarifies this so beautifully. He says our ownership is functional, not absolute. Think about it. We manage things we could never create. We depend on things we have no power to sustain. And that realization, it makes gratitude not just, a polite thing to do, but a state of absolute realism.
And what about those gods that people take besides Allah? Outwardly, we might think of idols or statues or maybe even powerful organizations. But Al-Razi points out this deep, profound irony. People will gather together, they'll mobilize to defend things that have absolutely no power to defend them back. Their whole effort becomes an assembly for nothing.
Okay, now, this is where things get really deep. The Sufi commentators, they read these exact same verses not just as a story about some future day of judgment, but as a map of the ego's surrender, right here and right now. This is the inner, the batin understanding.
So remember how we talked about aging as a loss of strength? Well, from this inner perspective, it's the complete opposite. Al-Qushayri writes that our physical decline is actually a mercy. A mercy. Why? Because it systematically takes apart our pride. As the body gets weaker, the heart finally gets a chance to soften. What our ego, our nafs, sees as a tragic loss, our soul, the ruh, recognizes as a profound release, as freedom.
And those false gods we worship, outwardly, yeah, they're idols. But inwardly, according to the great mystic Ibn Arabi, they are our most cherished identities. Things like our intellect, our reputation, our self-image. The ego builds these armies of justifications and excuses to defend them. But on the day of unveiling, when the truth comes out, they offer no help, none at all. So all of this testimony, from our aging bodies, from our food, from our attachments, it's all building up to one thing. It's leading to the ultimate challenge posed by human denial, the final fortress of the ego. And that is the question of resurrection. The denier, completely forgetting where he even came from, throws out this defiant question: who will give life to bones when they are decayed? And you have to understand, this isn't just a science question. This is the ego's last stand. It is the part of us that just cannot imagine a renewal, a rebirth, happening without its own control, without its own understanding. And the Quran's answer is just brilliant. It's so powerful because it doesn't just answer the question, it completely reframes it. First, there's the principle of origin. Hey, the one who created you from nothing the first time can surely do it again. Second, the principle of paradox. He brings fire from a green tree, life from what looks like death. And third, the principle of scale. If he created the entire heavens and the earth, is recreating you really a difficult task for him? And then, after all that logic, comes the final, ultimate declaration of divine power that just collapses the entire argument. Kun fayakun. Be, and it is. Ibn Arabi explains this so profoundly. He says this isn't about a word being spoken in time. It's about the collapse of any distance between God's will and existence itself. The delay we feel, that's just in our perception, not in reality.
And so the surah wraps up by bringing everything, back to its source. So glory be to the one in whose hand is the dominion, melakut, of all things, and to him you will be returned. The dominion was never divided, and the return was never, ever in doubt.
Okay, so that's the grand cosmic picture. But what about us, right here, right now? What does all this mean for us? How do we live this truth before our own bodies are forced to testify? Let's try to make this really personal. I want you to think about a question that comes from the source material for this reflection. If your ability to speak was taken from you right this second, what would your habits, your daily actions, what would they testify about what you truly believe? And here's another one to really sit with. Which power that you rely on every day, maybe it's your job, your intellect, your status, which of those would just completely vanish if the illusion of your own control suddenly fell away? You see, the real takeaway here is that we don't have to wait for that final dramatic unveiling to start practicing sincerity. The whole point of these verses isn't to scare you, it's to tell you the truth. And the truth is, you were never holding anything up on your own, and you were never meant to. And we'll end with the beautiful prayer, the munajat, offered in the source material. O origin and return, let us return before we are returned. Make our bodies truthful, our hearts surrendered, and our end a recognition, not a surprise. Amin.